Your new garden shed needs an appropriate base for installation. For this 8x6 overlap Pent, we're using our timber porter base, available for nearly all of our garden buildings. Your base needs to be firm and level. For this building you will need an area at least 235 cm by 175 cm. You will also need to ensure you have at least a 2-foot gap around the entire perimeter of the building for ease of installation and to allow a wood treatment to be applied later. All of the components and fixings are supplied with the building, so all you'll need are some basic tools. For this Pent shed, you'll need a posi drive screwdriver, a cutting tool, a step ladder, a hammer, a tape measure and a drill with a 2mm drill bit. You will need at least 2 people to install this building, and we would recommend using safety gloves when handling the panels. Using your instructions, check all parts against the parts list, and ensure that all pieces are present and correct before beginning construction. Place the floor panel down onto your prepared base in the orientation you require. Each wall panel will have 2 transport blocks attached to the bottom frame, which will need to be removed with a hammer. Starting with the door panel, place this down onto your floor to work from. Place the door strips on either side of the gap before pre-drilling each of them at the top, middle and bottom. Attach them to the inner side of the door gap with 30mm screws. Pre-drilling is essential to not only protect your timber from splitting, but also makes construction significantly easier. This should be done at all times. You can now place the door within the gap, making sure it is flush with the bottom board of the panel. Align each of the T-hinges across the door edge as shown, in line with the door framing. Pre-drill and secure each hinge with 7 30mm screws. To start on the main body of the building, place a rear panel over the back edge of the floor, so that the bottom board overhangs. Place one of the plain side panels next to it so that the framing butts up at the corner as shown. Pre-drill and secure the panels through the framing at the top, middle and bottom with 40mm screws. Attach the second back panel in the same method as shown, and repeat the previous steps to attach the second side panel, making sure to pre-drill at all times. You can now choose which side you would prefer the window panel to be on. Attach it to either side panel in the same method with screws at the top, middle and bottom of the framing. The door panel needs to then be installed in the same method. Do not fix the panels to the floor until the roof is fitted. To start the roof, take each ridge bar and attach an L bracket at each end using 20mm screws, making sure to pre-drill to prevent splitting. Place each ridge bar between the upright framing from the front to the back of the building as shown, making sure they are flush with the top edge of each panel. Attach each ridge bar through the L bracket using 20mm screws. You can now position the roof boards on top of the shed as shown, making sure that the front edge is flush with the panel below as shown. This will create an overhang at the back for a water runoff. Secure the panels in position with 9 30mm screws each into the framing below. Place the eaves frame along the back edge of the roof boards and secure in place using screws down through the board. The building can now be secured to the floor with 18 50mm screws spaced evenly around the entire frame as shown. Roll out the roofing felt and cut 2 equal lengths at 2484mm long using a knife or cutting tool. Place the first sheet along the back of the roof, creating an overhang at the back and sides as shown. Tack the rear edge in place so that it is flush with the framing edge and does not fold under it. You can now roll out the second piece of felt. Place this so there is an overhang at the front and sides of the building, and overlaps the first piece of felt. Tack along the joint where the pieces meet. Fix the cover trims in place along each corner and panel joint, making sure to pre-drill each piece at the top, middle and bottom before affixing with 40mm screws. The fascia balls can then be positioned over the top of the felted edges as shown. You will need to pre-drill these before attaching in place along the front and sides using 40mm screws. Open the door on your shed to place a door block against the middle framing as shown. Attach it to the frame using two 40mm screws. This allows you to position the pad bolt to the outside of the door. Align the main body of the pad bolt over the framing block before securing in place with 30mm screws. Push the bolt into the lock position to help align the catch. You can then attach it to the door side frame with additional 30mm screws. Lastly, place the turn button so that it catches the door at the top and bottom as shown. Affix these loosely in place using 20mm screws. It is essential that a wood treatment is applied to the building now it has been assembled to protect it from rot and weather damage. Once you have done this, you can remove the protective window plastic by scoring along the outer edges of the window frame with a knife or cutting tool. Do this both inside and out to remove the coating. Any excess felt from the roof can now be cut away using a cutting tool for a neat and clean finish. Your Pent shed is now complete. For more information on this building or any of our other storage options, please visit merciagardenproducts.co.uk.